All right, so we're diving into Sahil Bloom's The Five Types of Wealth today. I know a lot of you out there probably thinking like, okay, another self-help book. Is this one really worth my time? And that's exactly why we're here today.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're looking for a more fulfilling life, I mean, a one that goes beyond, just money, yeah, this one's actually worth checking out.
Okay, that's what every self-help book promises though, right? So like, what makes this one different? I've read a ton of books about, habits and productivity and all that.
Right. Well, Bloom's approach is different because he has this framework. He calls them the five interconnected types of wealth: financial, social, mental, physical, and time. He says that, like, true wealth comes from, cultivating all five of these things, not just focusing on financial success.
Five types of wealth. Okay, I'm kind of intrigued. But break that down for me. What exactly are these five types? Like, why should I care?
So, like, think of it this way: most people chase after financial wealth, right? But that's only one piece of the puzzle. Bloom says to live a truly fulfilling life, you need to grow wealth in these other areas too. So there's social wealth that's about, the quality of your relationships, your connections with friends, family, community. Then you've got mental wealth, like your mindset, your ability to learn and grow, be resilient. And then physical wealth, this one's about taking care of your body, your health, your energy. And then the most precious one, time wealth.
Time wealth. I like the sound of that. But how do you actually build wealth in these areas? Does Bloom give you like concrete things you can do, or is it just like a bunch of abstract concepts?
He definitely gets into the specifics. He has all kinds of tools and strategies to help you see where you stand in each area and then make a plan to improve. For example, he's got this wealth score quiz that helps you figure out your strengths and weaknesses. And then there's this relationship map. It helps you visualize and like strategize your social connections.
Okay, so it's not just theory. There are actual steps you can take.
That's good to hear. So you mentioned Bloom's book is different from other personal development books, but how does it compare to like the popular ones out there, like Atomic Habits by James Clear? Have you read that one? Yeah, of course, there are some similarities for sure, especially when it comes to, habits and self-improvement. But what sets Bloom's book apart is that it focuses on enough, like you have enough. Instead of always striving for more, he wants you to define your own version of success instead of chasing after some, arbitrary standard.
Okay, that is refreshing. A lot of the self-help world is about hustling and achieving all the time. So I like that focus on enough. I've seen some reviews, though, that say the book is a little dense, like a lot of information. Is this a quick read, or is it something that takes a bit more time to really, digest?
You're right, it's not exactly light reading. Bloom really dives deep into each of these five types of wealth. He brings in research and historical stuff, even personal stories, and of course, actionable advice. Yeah, it's definitely a book that you'll want to like savor and reflect on, not just skim through. But I think that's a good thing. It shows that Bloom really wants you to engage with the ideas and use them in your own life.
That makes sense. So let's get into some of those juicy details. You've got me interested in this five types of wealth idea. Can you give me some specific examples of what Bloom says about each type? Like what strategies does he offer?
Of course. So let's start with time wealth. That's where Bloom really stands out, I think. He has this idea called the boot up sequence. It's for doing deep work, like getting your mind ready to focus and be productive, which I think we all struggle with these days.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. With social media and emails constantly bombarding us, I feel like my attention span is non-existent. What exactly is this boot up sequence?
It stands for breath observation objectives. And TIPO, it's like a little ritual, a simple one, but it's powerful. It helps you start your day intentionally and get into that flow state for work. Bloob uses it himself to manage his busy schedule, and he still makes time for, deep focused work.
Interesting. So it's not just about time management. It's about getting your mind in the right place for that deep work. I could see how that would be valuable. What about social wealth, though? I feel like I'm pretty good in that department. I've got my family and a close group of friends. Is there really anything new to learn there?
Even if you've got a good social foundation, Bloom's insights on social wealth can be really eye-opening. He talks about the difference between like thin relationships and thick relationships. So thin relationships are those casual acquaintances, like people you might chat with at a party. But thick relationships, those are the deep, meaningful connections that really feed your soul.
Okay, so quality over quality, but aren't both types important?
Yeah, for sure. Bloom emphasizes cultivating both types. Thin relationships can open you up to new ideas and opportunities, but it's the thick ones, where you can really be yourself and feel seen. Those are the ones that give you that sense of belonging and support, especially when things get tough.
That makes sense. I can see how building and nurturing those thick relationships would have a big impact on my well-being. What about mental wealth? Is that all about meditation and mindfulness? Because Honestly, I've tried those and they don't really work for me.
Bloom talks about mindfulness, but he goes beyond that. He focuses on mental resilience as a key part of mental wealth. So it's about, developing your ability to bounce back from setbacks, to handle stress, and to see challenges as opportunities to grow.
Resilience, I like that. It feels more proactive than just trying to be zen. How do you actually build that, though? Does Bloom have any advice on that?
He's got a whole bunch of strategies: journaling gratitude practices, actively looking for learning experiences, and even practicing negative visualization. That's where you imagine the worst case scenarios. It helps prepare you mentally for potential challenges.
Wow, negative visualization sounds intense, but I guess it could help you develop some mental toughness. So we've covered time, social, and mental wealth. What about physical wealth? Is Bloom like a fitness guru? Is he going to make me feel bad for liking pizza and Netflix?
No, no, he's not about deprivation or anything like that. He gets it. Physical wealth is about finding what works for you. He's all about a balanced approach, feeling good in your own skin and having the energy to do the things you love.
Okay, good. I was worried I'd have to give up my comfy pants and run a marathon.
He does encourage healthy habits, of course, like eating right, exercising, and sleeping enough. But his main message is to listen to your body and find things that you can actually stick with.
That's great. Finally, let's talk about the big one, financial wealth. I'm guessing this is where Bloom really gets into, specific investment strategies and stuff, since that's his background.
Actually, he takes a different approach here. He doesn't focus on getting rich quick. He talks about building a solid foundation for financial well-being. So managing your expenses, investing wisely, and most importantly, figuring out what enough means to you personally.
That's interesting. A lot of financial advice is all about just getting more and more money. I like that Bloom is challenging that.
Yeah, he tells some really thought-provoking stories. Like, there's one about a billionaire who realizes that all his money can't buy back the time he lost with his family. Bloom's point is that financial wealth should help you reach your life goals, not be the only thing you focus on.
That's a good reminder. It's easy to get caught up in chasing financial success and forget what really matters.
Exactly. Bloom's book is like a wake-up call. It's about defining wealth on your own terms and creating a life that matches your values. It's not about blindly following someone else's path. It's about asking yourself the right questions and figuring out your own vision.
Okay, I'm definitely seeing the value in Bloom's way of thinking about wealth. So, out of everything in the book, what would you say is the most important takeaway?
For me, it was this quote: "The only thing that matters at all is the quality of the relationships with the people we love." Boom really emphasizes that in the end, true wealth is about connection, love, and meaning. It's a reminder not to sacrifice those things just to chase after money or any other kind of wealth.
That's beautiful and so true. It really makes you think about your priorities. So, would you say this is a book everyone should read?
I wouldn't say it's for absolutely everyone, but if you're feeling stuck or like you're just going through the motions without any real purpose, Bloom's book could be a great way to shake things up.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where would you recommend someone start, though? There are so many different ideas in this book, it could be a little overwhelming.
I'd say start with the wealth score quiz Bloom has in the book. It helps you see where you're at in each area of wealth and figure out what you might want to focus on first. And remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Even making small changes in one or two areas can make a big difference.
Great advice. So, final verdict is Sahil Bloom's The Five Types of Wealth, worth adding to my reading list.
Absolutely. If you want to create a more fulfilling and meaningful life, this book is definitely worth checking out. It's a really thought-provoking and practical guide to building true wealth in all areas of your life.
Awesome. And that wraps up our deep dive into the five types of wealth. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to start building my own wealth portfolio. And maybe it's time for me to take that wealth score quiz. I love that wealth portfolio. Like, we're investing in our own lives, right? Choosing where to put our time and energy and focus to get the most happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly. And Bloom's book is great because it gives us a roadmap for making those investments the right way.
Speaking of investments, I was thinking about how this book compares to other personal development books. Like we talked about Atomic Habits. But there's also The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and Mindset. Where does the 5 types of wealth fit in with all of those?
That's a good question. I think Bloom's book is kind of a fresh perspective. A lot of these other books focus on like one specific thing, like productivity or mindset. But Bloom looks at the whole picture. He shows how all these different parts of life connect and contribute to our overall well-being.
So it's not just about mastering one skill. It's more about creating a balanced life, like a fulfilling life in every area.
Exactly. It's like Bloom's giving us a framework for thinking about our lives, encouraging us to invest in every area, not just the popular ones.
Yeah, that's a powerful message. It's easy to get caught up in chasing one type of success and forget about the other things that matter for our happiness.
Totally, and I think that's what makes Bloom's book so valuable. It reminds us that true wealth isn't about, impressing other people or comparing ourselves. It's about figuring out what matters to us and then making choices to build a life that reflects our values.
So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you hope people take away from our deep dive into the five type of wealth? What's the big takeaway?
I hope people feel like they can design a life that has real meaning and purpose and connection. Bloom's book gives us the tools to do that. It encourages us to define wealth for ourselves, to invest in all areas of our lives, and to put the important things first.
I love that. That's perfect. So if you're listening and you want to create a more fulfilling life, one that's about more than just money, I highly recommend Sahil Bloom's The Five Types of Wealth. It might just change how you think about being wealthy.
I agree. It's definitely worth a read.
And that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.